today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about why is it so many men in particular seem to be scrolling away their lives. Basically, when people grow up with a lot of screens, they use tech to numb stress, anxiety, or unmet needs. Screen use and abuse is basically the death by 1,000 cuts. We're not telling you to give up your screen time. We're telling you to be conscious about when you use screens, to be conscious about how long you're going to use them for. Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. And my name is Rich Heller, and I'm your host. And today we're talking about busy scrolling away your life, scrolling away your family, scrolling away your opportunity. Joanne asks, why does he zone out with his games instead of talking to me? Joanne, the reason is he is digitally sedating himself. He's not sitting there consciously saying, now I'm going to digitally sedate myself. It's unconscious. It's what he's been using to relieve stress and anxiety and unmet needs since adolescence. All right. And there are all kinds of studies that show that high exposure to screens at an early age leads to a number of challenges in life. Underdeveloped prefrontal cortex and cerebral cortex, which is our decision-making focal part of our brain, and a tendency to turn to screens as an outlet, as a form of entertainment, as a form of relief. Basically, when people grow up with a lot of screens, they use tech to numb stress, anxiety, or unmet needs. It looks harmless. It even seems normal because it's so common right now, but it hides avoidance. And it's not conscious avoidance. It's not like guys are sitting there saying, oh, I think I'll just avoid what's going on. It's something they've been taught to do. It's something they've been doing. And not only that, but the screens are designed to hook the participant. The screens are designed to distract us from everyday concerns. The screens are designed to give us a sense of temporary, almost hollow sense of fulfillment. And so we naturally, as we participate in this, start to feel that and go, oh, this feels better than anxiety. This feels better than fear. This feels better than sadness. This feels better than hurt. This feels better than feeling alone. Now, it's not just guys who do this, let's be really clear, but it is in many ways guys who have a predilection towards it. It looks harmless. It's even normal, but is it better than intimacy? For a lot of guys, it might feel safer than intimacy. Let's get real. Intimacy occurs when we're vulnerable. Intimacy occurs when we decide to trust someone. And here are two things I can promise you about vulnerable and the decision to trust. You will always, almost always, let's not be too absolute, you will almost always experience either a breach of trust or a breach of vulnerability, some form of hurt, sadness, and fear. And guys in particular have been conditioned, trained, taught that these are not feelings to be had. They are negative emotions to be avoided. They are not productive. They do not take us to success. They do not help us win fights. They do not help us lead families. And so we avoid them. And how do we avoid them? We avoid them through many means. One of them is digital sedation. Tech, in many ways, has become a modern escape. It's like alcohol or gambling. And if you think I'm exaggerating, the statistics on pornography addiction are stunning. Hey, have you ever looked at some of these games that are out there now? They are becoming more and more lifelike, the games themselves. There's a lot of busty women and brawny guys. So they're more lifelike. The characters in them are sexually appealing. They meet the ideal of what these things should be. And they're, in many ways, they might be my prediction is that in 20 years, it will be proven that modern video games are the gateway to pornography. And my reasoning on this is I've had clients whose teen children are creating AI pornography. And so instead of going out on the internet and having trackers that show that they've seen pornography, they create their own pornography using AI. And how did they get there? First, they started playing the games. Then they became sexually active. Then they look for fulfillment. Their parents have got trackers or their parents have got restrictions on them. And so they go to AI, which is the one thing that's not being really monitored right now, and create AI pornography, pornographic shorts where they take pictures of people that they would like to be intimate with and give it to the AI and have the AI slap that person, a picture of that person, onto a head or a body. And then they have the AI create pornographic conversation with that make-believe person that has the picture or image of someone that they've been fantasizing about. That's the reason why I think that games are going to lead to pornography. They're going to find that when we do photoreal gaming, that it opens up a fantasy portal in our minds, and we start exploring other ways and that we can fulfill that. Early warning signs are zoning out. Early warning signs are late night scrolling, porn replacing intimacy. If you feel like your partner is not showing up for you in bed, there's a good chance that they're showing up somewhere else. It's easier just to relax with my screen than deal with an argument, says Joe. And that is so true, right? For guys today, what conflict seems to lead to is a way of participating in conflict that they are not allowed to participate in. If men are emotionally violent, I'm going to call it. Actually, let me roll this back. Very often conflict between men and women is uneven for a number of reasons. Women can't afford to lean into emotional violence in a way that men can't. And the reason is, even though we live in this world where men and women are equal, the fact of the matter is men are physically bigger. Their bodies are built to take physical violence better. We are raised, many of us, to engage in physicality, get in a way that women aren't. And so what happens is when men get emotionally violent, it is unconsciously scarier often for women than it is for men. What's happened is because men have decided we're all equal, even though a man is not allowed to hit a woman because they're physically bigger, it's recognized. A man can't hit a woman. Why? It's bullying. Men cannot engage in emotional violence with a woman without her becoming scared, and they don't know that. And so what happens is today, when couples get into conflict and there's emotional violence in the conflict, emotional violence is like, I'm right and you're wrong. All right. One party gets more scared than the other, and there's an imbalance, right? The fact of the matter is that there are no conflicts that should be emotionally violent between two people who want to be intimate. They move in opposite directions. But anyway, because men don't really have permission to be emotionally violent, it's scary. It might lead to physical violence. Because women have permission to be emotionally violent and even physically violent. I've had men who I've worked with who have been physically abused by the woman they're married to. Instead of engaging in an argument and opening up the Pandora's box of that potential kind of conflict, they go to screens. Screens offer an instant escape. You can just yes, dear. Happy life, happy wife is the myth that goes with this. You say yes, dear, and you go off into your screen. Men are socialized to cope alone, not talk it out. We're given this image very often that the only way that we can relate to other men is by competing with them or complaining to them. We haven't been socialized to be emotionally fluent and to talk things out. And so we go to screens. The screens offer predictable rewards, and intimacy is often unpredictable. Intimacy demands a kind of emotional fluency that many men have not been raised with and do not yet have the tools to explore. If you are such a man and you're listening to this and you're interested, I want you to reach out to me, because the core part of the work that we do at Rich in Relationship is about A, helping men become emotionally fluent, and B, helping women to understand that they have responsibility in the exchanges that they have with their partners, and that emotional violence is not only inappropriate, but it's driving their men away or inviting conflict that is not healthy for the relationship. We also do a ton of work with people who have been escaping for a while and go to infidelity or break spending agreements, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So screens. 1 in 3 men under 40 report using gaming and streaming specifically to avoid stress or emotional issues. That's in 2021. You see, for guys, for the brain that evolves in a genetically masculine body, there's a chemistry and a neurology to that brain. It is goal oriented, it is purpose driven, and it seeks mastery. And gaming offers all of those things. It offers mastery, it offers an environment that's somewhat predictable, but not too predictable, that has enough challenges to keep it interesting. There's a level of control and challenge with self that happens that just doesn't happen in family life, which is very messy. Another screen escape is porn that gives men quick intimacy. It gives them the need to feel like the man without any vulnerability. And just guys, if you're looking at pornography and if that's sounding good to you, I've worked with guys who have serious pornography addictions and they have trouble having sex with people unless they're paying them because let's face it, your partner probably isn't going to want to do a lot of the weird ass stuff that's happening in pornography that seems interesting and power driven. And the people that they're paying very often don't, or you're going to pay them a hell of a lot of money to do what you're seeing in pornography. And when you're paying someone for sex, it is by definition not intimate. All right, why do I feel like I have to compete with his phone for attention? We already explained that tech replaces connection time with the partner because it's just easier to manage. It's immediate fulfillment. Sexual intimacy will decline as porn, gaming, or sleep deprivation rise. Partners feel unseen, unloved, inadequate. And couples where one partner is a problematic tech user report lower sexual satisfaction and more conflicts in the long run, says the Cyber Psychology Journal in 2020. Screen use and abuse is basically the death by 1,000 cuts. It's little moments of absence that add up. And the other side of it is that when you're used to interacting with people through what you're experiencing in screens, the tendency is going to take who you are or how you're showing up in the screens and bring it other places or wish that you could. Screens are the silent third wheel in many marriages. And again, if you're challenged with this, reach out, all right? Go to our website, go to the free relationship group and get a free call instantly. We'll sit down and figure out what your next steps might be. Maybe we're going to refer you to someone. Maybe you need a 12-step program. Who knows? But let's talk it through. The first step is awareness. I give my best at work. Why can't I just check out at home? It is not unusual for high achievers, exhausted from work, to have tech feel like relief. And for a lot of high achievers, it used to be that they met their friends online through games, and when they go home, they want to stay up late and then connect with their friends online in games just like they used to. There's an I deserve this mentality. I've worked for it. And our screen habits that we developed in our youth and continue through our adult life is rationalized. Work stress plus tech sedation equals maybe some level of, I don't know what the word is, some needs are met, but it means you're meeting these kind of personal short-term needs at the expense of intimacy. And I would even challenge this thing about friends. A lot of the guys I've worked with say, well, I connect with my friends through video games, but are you really connecting to your friends? My prediction on this is that now that their AI can mimic human behavior so well online, to the point where there's lots of AI scam videos about politicians saying things and doing things. My prediction is that we won't even know if we're playing with our friends or with an AI in the future. And if we're playing with an AI, is that intimate? Is that a real connection? Can you have a real connection with a program? And if you're seeing your friends only virtually, can you have a real connection with them? There are advantages to doing things virtually. I work with a lot of people virtually. It's easy. It reduces certain aspects of personal intimacy that might get in the way of doing the work that I do. And there are advantages to doing it in person as well. Get that there's a trade-off when we do things virtually. There are women high achievers who also escape digitally, but the pattern is slightly different. Though there are women who engage in pornography, the percentage is much lower than men. The trend that's emerging for women with screens is the creation of the perfect partner through AI. You read about this in the paper a lot. I've read about women who were separated from their husbands for a year in different cities, and their husbands turned to pornography and they turned to AI, and the jury is out on what happens to that couple when they get back together. But let's face it, if you're having a relationship with an AI and the AI is telling you what you want to hear about yourself and telling you what you want to hear about life and is nothing but affirming, and then you try and get back into a relationship with your husband who is either avoiding you or maybe is engaging in conflict with you, what's going to be more comfortable? In many ways, having that AI relationship for women is a lot like screen time for men. And my prediction is that as AI evolves, we're going to start seeing more women having digital escape, and I'll get to do episodes about it. I'm looking forward to it. So how do we place his screen time without it turning into a fight? The first thing is there needs to be a recognition that something is missing. I'm now breaking away from my cues. The cue is how to do it. Before we get to how to do it, the first step is there needs to be recognition that there's a problem, that the intimacy is not what you want it to be, that there's an escape going on. There needs to be recognition of how the technology is being used. And let's be clear, it is not that we don't want to use screens. Screens are the reality. We're going to have screens probably forever. We're probably going to get little chips embedded in our heads. They're already getting those glasses where you can walk around and have AI interactions while you walk through your day. That's real life. It's future. It's helpful. The difference is we want to be conscious in our choices. That means maybe there are some places where you don't do text, or maybe there's tech, or maybe there's some times when you don't do tech. Some people suggest having tech-free zones, but I'm more about tech-free times. Family meals, no tech. Date night, no tech. 2 hours before you're going to go to sleep, screens off. I'm honestly not very good about this. We like to watch a little Poirot at night, mystery TV, before we go to sleep. But to the best of your ability, if you're planning to be intimate, no tech. And I'm not talking about readers here. E-readers don't qualify in my mind. If you're reading, it's a different experience than if you're being fed a story by a screen, or if you're engaging in a game or talking to an AI or whatever. You want to have shared digital rituals. When you do use screens, you want to use them together. There's a tendency for a lot of couples to watch screens separately. I have some neighbors who, the husband is watching a screen in one room, the wife is watching a screen in another. That's okay, but you want to also have shared interests. You want to have your individual interests, and you want to have shared interests. You want to have shared hobbies and relational rituals. You want to make sure that when you come home, when you both arrive home, one of you may get there before the other, but when you're both in the house at the same time, that you take at least 15 minutes to debrief each other, instead of one of you saying, I'm watching a show right now, or I'm working. Right? You want to make sure you have time, FaceTime with each other. There needs to be a conscious choice that you're going to put your relationship above the screen. There needs to be accountability through shared goals. And this isn't going to be a cold turkey experience. There may be a plan for gradual replacement. I would seriously take a look at How are you using your phone? Where is your phone? I got criticized the other day. Somebody was trying to reach me while I was recording the podcast. I recorded the podcast in several episodes at a time, and my phone was completely not in my presence. They got mad at me for not being available. And I was like, hey, I have no screen times. Well, I had camera screen, but I'm talking, I'm working it. All right, let's continue. Rob says, if I give up my screen time, how do I actually relax? And Rob, we're not telling you to give up your screen time. We're telling you to be conscious about when you use screens, to be conscious about how long you're going to use them for, to be conscious about what percentage of your time you're using them, to be conscious about spending time with your partner, to be conscious about spending time working out. It might be that what you need to do is, in order to get a gym habit going, you allow yourself to have a screen then, right? That might be a compromise. All right. So I'm going to have gym time and screens at the same time. Of course, the challenge from personal experience is that you stop doing the gym work and just watch the screen. So you got to make sure you keep saying, keep going, keep going, keep going. You want to be present. That is the ultimate test. Your tech should support, not substitute connection. Couples, they basically thrive when they relax together. Relaxation together equals renewal together, not sedation apart. You want to have true intimacy. True intimacy isn't about no screens. It's about choosing connection first and using your screens to support that. Again, if you have questions about this and you want to connect, go to richinrelationship.com. Everything's there. And we also, by the way, we did a whole series on screens and screen addiction. Go back to previous episodes of Rich in Relationship and check those out. In the meantime, have an awesome day and a fabulous tomorrow.